La 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 la. As we all know. Cheers. Oh. Whoa.
Party foul.
Party foul.
Haven't even started. Cheers,
Cheers.
baby. Woo woo.
Welcome everyone to a fueled up episode.
That's salt.
Yeah, I did it right.
Wowzers.
I was inspired. We were looking through the cabinets of the Airbnb, and I saw these margarita glasses 2-3 days ago. I was like, we got to do a margarita. I've never really made one other than in a solo cup.
Nope.
But now that we have legit glasses, it's inspired me too. We need to work on our kitchen collection.
Once we move and figure out our home, we have to make sure that we have actual cups, like fun margarita. We had wine glasses and coffee mugs, but just great plates, the entertaining plates, you know.
Silverware, just a lot of different kind of...
We had silverware.
I mean, we had silverware, but you know what I mean? Like, this house is stocked.
It's stocked,
You could entertain 60 people and there's enough stuff. So, but we move every year, so we never want to invest the money in a kitchen and then have to wrap those and pack them. So we use a lot of paper plates, or we, only have a few plates for us.
Yeah.
Especially these days, we don't know like when people are going to start hanging out together again. So
that too. And when we lived in Studio City, we weren't really entertaining. I feel like in the past, because I feel like literally every year when we've moved, we've switched all of our, supplies, if you will, everything that you need. And in our last place from Pasadena, we got rid of it all. And Studio City, we just never entertained, especially the pandemic. But we were like, there's really no need to spend all the money, and we're going to move again. And here we are, but we have these now.
Yeah, and they're nice. I think I'm gonna put that on the Florida Fred menu.
The Florida Fred menu.
I do want to create a menu and just put it out to I want to perfect my menu.
Yeah.
And then we'll put it out online with like the recipes and stuff for people.
You made a dope burger last night. Dope.
Swiss. It was a burger around medium well. The bun was crispy. Swiss cheese. Mushrooms, grilled onions, a little bit of ketchup, and it just was incredible.
It was 9.9.
A 9.9, yeah. You gave me a 9.9. But that one will definitely make the cut. My salmon salad, my salmon Greek salad mixture has been going well. And I got myself a cutting board. This is when you know you're well into your 30s, even though I'm only 32. I'm excited about a cutting board. Because I don't know if this is in every city. I'm sure it is. But a lot of these, what do you want to call them? Artsy restaurants, not artsy. What's like a
artisan type?
Artisans, restaurant. Well, they'll serve your food on a cutting board with a handle.
Yep.
And I love that because even when I start taking pictures and taking this more serious about my cooking, if you put it on a regular plate, all the food kind of slides to the middle. I want a flat surface. I want to make it really pretty. I want to take pictures of it.
You could be a foodie influencer where you show all of your recipes.
Yeah, but I feel if you're going to put that title on it, then it would actually have to make sense.
Sure.
Mine's still the whole leftover or just kind of I make it up as I go. I feel if you're a real chef, they know all the seasonings and all this stuff. Like I kind of make it up, but maybe
But I think that's what people like. They want to see someone who is just learning as they go, figuring it out as they go, and you're making some delish stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. We got some chicken in the fridge that we'll make later today. But I'm feeling really, really good. We've been here now for 8 days. How crazy.
I know. Really fast.
I was doing this online event yesterday, and it was so amazing. Thank you for those of you who tuned in. It was Salem Proud, me, Greg Rickert, Chandler Massey, Christopher Sean, and Brock Kelly. We're all on. Tony Moore hosted. And it was just an amazing, amazing event. We did this. And I think that could even, yet again, I know I talk about this all the time, but it's just I see the writing on the wall. And I'm hearing it from the people that I watch about how things are going virtual, and it's not going to go back. People are finding way too much convenience in the virtual world. It's not as much as being able to touch somebody or give someone a hug or make that personal connection. But I think the longer we do this, the more I really do feel like I'm there. Like I really lost where I was, and I felt I was with the guys hanging there. And then the event was really cool because some people got to ask questions. And they turn their Zoom on,
so you can
and they're
see 'em.
right there.
Cool.
And there's so many people too. I've known their names, but never saw them in person. So it was so cool. I was like, "This is the future. This is becoming a smaller world. We're able to connect, and I'm getting used to it."
I was going to say, isn't that interesting that you felt like you were right there with them, because it's been so long since you've had like real, besides me obviously, but human connection with friends or colleagues, and now you're just like, I feel like you're right here.
Yeah, and everyone's understanding the etiquette of Zoom lately. There's people kind of understand how to work it. You know, I think at the very beginning in March there was a lot of where's the mute, where's the video, where do I look, and there was a lot of overlapping, a lot of lag. But if you actually have great lighting, if you have good internet connection, and if people kind of, you know, in an in-person talk like this, you and I can interrupt each other and it sounds good. If you interrupt people when we do a Zoom guest, the Zoom will pick up my voice and will tune you out. So I'll be and it'll sound like that, and you miss what people are saying. So you kind of have to have, and then what do you think, Alyssa?
And then the video goes back and forth too on Zoom. So if you interrupt, it's just going to cut to you, whoever's talking, isn't it generally audio?
Well, that's what we had to get used to when we interview guests, because I remember you are always wanting to reinforce that you're listening, and you just did it there. You do, which is fine in real life. That makes sense. That's a wonderful way to do it on our podcast. We obviously do that. But when you're talking on Zoom, if you go, it'll cut to you, and you won't be able to hear what that person's saying. So we're just sitting there nodding our heads so that the audience knows. Because there's times I'm interviewing people, or there's times that I'm there, and people kind of look at you, and you're like, do they think I'm nuts, or are they just listening? So I always want to have my eyes open and shake my head, but I can't say anything like, or yeah, oh yeah, unless I'm going to talk, because then it drowns them out. But my whole point is no one interrupted. It was great. Everyone kind of like, you know, talked, but yeah, there's something about virtual events. There's something about virtual everything that I'm really want to take a close look at and continue to to focus on.
It's the way of the world. I mean, we even heard there's a casting office, I think, that for like the next year, they're not going to have.
They got rid of it. Yeah. They got rid of the casting office because they're not going to bring anybody in. And
that's a huge sign, though, that the virtual reality and all of that is going to be the way of the world, or virtual auditions.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's really nice. It's great. It's wonderful. And yeah, I'm just really happy. It was a nice event. It was nice getting all the guys together. Aww. And maybe in the future we'll be together in person. But I do see how the legacy will always be there.
Of course.
I was even telling Scott and Matt, who runs Spectrum Celebrity Events, I was saying, even 2 years from now, 6 years from now, there's going to be a fan base of people who want to see Salem Proud, the boys.
Well, yeah.
Because we were with them and we made a huge impact. And even someone like Will Smith still talks about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Of course.
How many times does Jennifer Aniston get asked about Friends? It's when you make this big of an impact, you bring that legacy with you.
Well, and think about too, even say Comic-Con, they have all of these shows, of course, most of them when they're really popular and they have the cast come, but then there are older shows that for some reason they just stick, and people are like, come on, we want to see more, we want to hear more from them. And I mean, even the shows we grew up with that we loved.
Yeah.
It's just, even Fresh Prince.
Oh, it's great.
It's amazing. We go back, we rewatched that, what was it, 4 years ago when we were in Hawaii? We're in this beautiful place.
And at night we would turn on and watch
excited.
Yeah, it's really nice to go back. Even The Sopranos, I watched during the, like around June, I watched the whole thing. And so some of these shows stick with you forever. Yeah. And this is really interesting too. I feel like this is actually a pretty good segue to bring this up. There was because when we look at comments, when it comes to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, we've talked about this a lot where I think who we are as people, which isn't by accident. You and I, ever since we picked up our first book in 2014 on personal development, started understanding that the world is going to hit you with negative stuff. The world is going to hit you with challenges. The thing you can actually control is how you treat other people, how you can work on how do I get better? How do I, if someone cuts me off, that initial how do you work on that? Life's too good, for if you have to honk your horn to protect an accident, that's different. But if someone just kind of peeks out, you've done that. Well, why do you have to flick them? What is that you have to work on?
Yeah.
So we have been actively listening to podcasts. reading books. We've learned a lot about ourselves. And I know we don't have any content, which I know people make fun of me for, but that word's going to stick around for a long time because that's what we do. Yeah, content. That's another t-shirt. But we weren't on camera as people as much back in the day. And I actually just saw Logan Paul, who's a huge YouTuber, him and his brother. I don't think anyone's bigger. They're definitely top 5, top 10 of all time. And he said when he looks back at 22 years old at the height of his fame before he got in trouble in Japan for a video that he did, then that kind of like knocked him off his pedestal and he had to regrow. And he's now doing a podcast, Impulsive, that I love. He brings on a lot of great people, has really interesting conversations. Yeah. He looks back when he was 22 and he goes, I don't even think I would like that person if I met them today. And that is how I look at myself. Not that I wouldn't like me because I was a nice person, but I was just very selfish and mature. I felt invincible. And I am proud of the personal growth that we have. Yeah. And the reason I'm setting all this up is that we have a community that we're building on purpose about positivity. Because like everywhere, no matter who I call, no matter who I'm talking to, no matter where I go, you're going to be bombarded with negativity. People share stories of negativity that they heard on the news. And we've decided we wanted to make our podcast positive. And it's attracting positive people. So 99% of our comments are all positive. There's a few negatives every now and then, and I totally get that. You're not going to win over everyone. I'm actually surprised we have 99%, to be honest. It almost seems like...
We love you guys.
Yeah, like it's so incredible. So thank you. But every now and then you'll have some, what I like to call feedback. I think true hate, true trolls, I never even...
It doesn't even affect me. I just...
Well, they're on a whole other level that and I rather let trolls go because if you feed them, they'll stick around. Totally. If they say something negative and you don't say anything back, they kind of lose interest because they want that. But we do get constructive criticism sometimes. We get feedback. One positive constructive criticism that I really enjoyed was a woman, just a random thing, not a paragraph, a one-liner, months ago, almost a year ago. She goes, why do you have to say the F word? That's all it said. And I go, why do we on the show? Yeah. And we talked about that. I said, why are we don't say it a lot, but in our everyday lives, we use profanity more than we did on the show. But we talked about that. And I said, if using the F word in the show, it can only keep things neutral or affect in a negative way. Maybe people can't show their kids now. Maybe they don't like the language. It doesn't have any positive. Best case scenario, neutral. If you take out 98% of swearing, it's got a huge upside. Sure. So we look at those things and go, well, yeah, why don't we just beep it out? If we have a guest, we're not going to tell them not to. We'll just beep it. Yeah. So we do listen to the feedback. Well, I had this comment the other day, and I just wanted to touch on a few things, and that's what led me into the days thing. It was so interesting that this person was like, it seems like you only talk about days when it's convenient. And if you're so over it, like, why do you have to bring it up or whatever it was? I'm paraphrasing what it was, but it was essentially, it seems like you only talk about days when it's convenient, and if you're so over it, why do you do that? And my initial thing to that, which I think we've mentioned before, is it's going to be forever in my life. Sure. I talk to my co-stars all the time. The show is still going. There's opportunity for...
They employed you for 9 years.
Yeah. So so you're not going to see someone like Jennifer Aniston or Alex Rodriguez. I see a lot of Alex Rodriguez now because he's in the entrepreneur land. I've never seen him ever do an interview or a clip that he doesn't mention Major League Baseball.
Of course.
So it's just... but it was like an interesting thing. But I was just I always think about things. And I'm not angry at all. Yeah. I just love thought-provoking things. And then this person goes on to say... I really think you should talk about things that are more relevant than just talking about superficial things. And so I was thinking about that one. And I go, well, we don't talk about things that are irrelevant. We talk about positivity. We talk about inspiration, education, entertainment. We explore the world in a really fun way. And we like to provide entertainment and an uplifting vibe to our audience.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what she meant by relevant. I can only assume maybe politics, maybe, there's a lot of crazy stuff in the world. Yeah. And you and I had that discussion. And that's why I wanted to share this too with the audience, because I think it's cool to kind of maybe hear behind the screen here of what you and I talk about. We had a discussion, many discussions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How many?
Dozens and dozens and dozens.
Trying to make sure that we find the correct narrative that we want for this show.
And I think at the end of the day, when it comes to any show that you watch or podcast, it's escapism for people ultimately. And the escapism that we felt we really wanted to give people was something that will add value, that will entertain, educate, inspire, uplift you, make you feel good, because that's just who we are as people.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've heard comments like this before too about always being happy. What we're portraying on camera is the best of us because we're producing a show just like a cartoon, just like Days, just like a Lifetime movie, just like an Iron Man film, just like a cooking show. People know what they're producing. And we want to produce a happy, positive vibe. So yeah, we have bad days. Yeah, I call my mom sometimes at 11:30 and vent her and my dad's ear off for 45 minutes.
That's part of being a human, though. Yeah. And even too, in the Pivot Principle, the book that we wrote in 2018, we really go into some of the trials and tribulations that we went through, like the car accident and money being stolen. And it was one of those things I even said in the book, it is okay not to be positive and happy every second of every single day. If you're feeling an emotion, let it out. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to scream, scream. But then you move on. You can't just like hide your emotions. If I'm going to cry, if I'm sad, I have to let it out before I can move on and get back, you know? And I think it's really important for people to know not every moment of every day is going to be perfect. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we react.
Yes.
You know, and that is so, so imperative. So I just think it's important to know. And I mean, 99% of the audience loves positivity. You know, they want that. That's why they come back and tune in. And it's important.
And here's where my empathy comes in with it, is that I think there are a lot of people in the world that may have never been around a consistent positive energy in their life, and it almost seems unauthentic because they're like, I've never met anybody who's just happy all the time. Maybe they've had negative people in their life. They've never been around positivity. Maybe they don't know about personal development books like I didn't know until 2014. So I always have empathy for people, but I really take in people. Like I love swirling it around and taking this in. And I appreciate the comments. I always appreciate just hearing points of view because you can hear a lot of positives, you can hear some negatives, and you kind of mix it all together. And, you know, on the technical side, which I don't think we've really shared, I think people would find this super interesting. Not only do you and I not want to talk about gossip or politics or you know, negativity, there are many platforms for that. There are people who have successful shows based on celebrity gossip. There are experts who talk about politics. There are people who live and breathe politics. And though we're educated and though we have our point of view, we don't always talk about it on the show, very, very little.
Yeah.
And there's just other people that you can go to for that. And if you're going to tune in, you have to know what you're tuning in for. So will we ever talk about politics? I'm sure at some point. I mean, the election's coming, but it's never going to be what you're used to. Let me tell you what happened today. So I can't believe it's none of that. Our vibe about it would be a normal conversation. And the biggest reason, too, is we had to pick a lane for our show when it comes to advertising. Now, this is a really big deal because many people might not know this, but on YouTube, on Facebook, on iTunes, through podcasting, you are building a business with advertisements and with sponsorships. And that, in order for you to find the right fit, you have to have a niche of what you're doing so that the advertisements will work. And we know what our audience would like. So if you're watching a YouTube video or you're watching a Facebook video and there's an advertisement that rolls beforehand or about a minute in or halfway in, those are the YouTube and Facebook algorithms working with creators who are putting in advertising. But YouTube, if you talk about weapons, if you talk about a lot of cursing, if you talk about tragedy, there's a big list of things that if you talk about it, they will demonetize your video and there'll be no advertising running on it. So if you have a video that gets 50,000 views, you're missing out on a lot of money. So that's why cutting out the swearing, not mentioning certain topics is YouTube friendly, and YouTube loves creators like us because we're not a controversial podcast. Even in Facebook, we opted out. We're leaving money on the table, but we opted out of political advertising running on our Facebook videos because I don't want someone to be sitting here enjoying a great podcast and then see something political on the advertisement that they choose that's going to get them in a weird mood or think that we're affiliated one way or the other. So we left everything off the table. When it comes to our sponsors, Same thing. We've turned down sponsorships that don't fit our narrative. And it was big money.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is going to seem
we've
weird
turned down,
to tell our audience about this. And I don't know how to say that we would use it. And it was just like, it doesn't work. So a lot of this has to do also with advertising and sponsorships. And we have this great new sponsor coming on next week that I'm so excited about.
So
It fits
excited.
perfectly with personal development.
It's great.
And it's better for the company. It's better for the audience. But there's a lot more that goes into this than sitting down and having a conversation.
Of course.
And that's what a lot of the creators are doing, you know, who are on YouTube, on Facebook, on iTunes. So there's just a lot that we're learning. But it kind of reinforced after watching that, reading that comment, it reinforced with me that after analyzing everything that was said, I feel we're right on track. I love every aspect. I think we found the perfect balance of sometimes being goofy, sometimes you know, being an educational and inspiration, sprinkling in days of our lives. So many of our viewers love days.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to talk about things and have guests on, and that's probably going to last forever, honestly. Because as long as Days is still going, it's going to be a huge thing. So we're just kind of talking out loud, but I wanted to like reference that. Maybe the person who commented is listening, maybe not. But I appreciate the comment. Thank you for the feedback. I always love kind of swirling it around. And
we appreciate all of the kind, amazing, wonderful comments that we get. And although we don't always get to respond, because what's funny is I'll look on my phone, but for some reason I'm not signed in on YouTube on my phone because
you have to do it on the computer.
Yeah, so then I have to go to the computer. It's this whole thing, and I'm always on.
But
my
we
phone.
Read them.
Yes, definitely.
So don't. So if we don't get back to everyone, just know that we did not see it. We are definitely seeing all of your amazing comments and your questions, and
just really appreciate.
And we appreciate you so much. So. But I do want to shift gears. Let's get into our. We went a very long time before we.
How long did we go, honey?
Almost 22 minutes.
Oh my gosh!
Welcome everyone to the Freddie and Alyssa show. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. If you're watching on Facebook, like and follow. If you're listening on a platform like iTunes, be sure to leave a 5-star review if you think we deserve it. We appreciate you all much. We've been putting up content now for 3 years. We're cranking it up. We're having a blast, and we really appreciate you. Now, today, as you can see, we have our margaritas. Cheers, baby. This is a fueled up episode. So, the Freddie and Alyssa show, if you're new, here's the schedule. Every Wednesday, every Friday. Every Wednesday, every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, a new Freddie and Alyssa show episode. If you're watching this and this is a fueled up Monday episode, this is a bonus episode where the remainder of this episode, the video portion, is a bonus for the members. So if you're a member of the show, you can go to the community page to watch this, the rest of the video. If you want to join as a member, you get tons of awesome perks from behind the scenes, a shout out. We're working on something new that's going to be really cool. And we've put up a lot of videos over the past few months in there. So you can, if you're like, I need more Freddie and Alyssa, there is tons in the members only. So check that out.
And can you share the exact link? Because I saw someone wasn't able to find the join button.
Yes, it's if you want to join, it's youtube.com/Freddie Alyssa/join. And if you're already a member, you go to youtube.com/Freddie Alyssa/community. And the community page will come up. So if you're a member who's contributing $10 a month, you'll get access to that. If not, it'll show up blank, I'm assuming. But we're putting up tons of videos for free and in the member group. So if you want to check out the member group, you can. And while we're there, I want to shout out
Give me the
some
shout
new
outs,
members.
baby.
Dina Fernandez, Melinda Wolf, Susan Krutzler, Daniel Schmidt, and James Butler. Welcome to the member group. We appreciate you so much, and we appreciate every single person out there who's watching, who's having a good time. But let's hop into today's episode, and we'll go from there.
Let's hop into it, baby. Can I just say, first of all, I kind of love, I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's a little overcast outside right now. And although we do have our lights here, it's really cool because I'm actually looking at it, and I just love that overcast when it's about to rain.
Is it going to rain?
I think so. We got caught, but that's the thing.
Oh,
with
it's
Florida.
raining now.
Is it?
Oh, it's pouring.
Oh, holy cow. But it'll be gone in 10 minutes. That's why I love Florida. We were walking Little Benjamin yesterday, and I was like, man, beautiful weather, gorgeous sunset. We were like halfway out, and it just started pouring on us.
But rain, being caught in the rain is only terrible if it's cold out.
True.
Then you're cold and wet. But I think because if you're going out to walk, that is one thing, because now we've been 8 days Floridians.
Yes.
You've been for the first 18 years of your life and then took a 15-year break of it. But the only thing I have noticed that is different that I'm not used to, and everyone said this too, they're like, it is hot. Mm-hmm. And it's October and it's hot. So you definitely sweat. You cannot go outside for more than 5 minutes without sweating. So if we ever had to park and go walk into a meeting or something for 2 blocks, and you're in a like, I don't know how people do it in a suit.
But we're also in Central Florida, so you don't get as much of the trade winds that you would get on the coast. Because where I grew up,
yeah.
I mean, it's still very hot. Don't get me wrong, but we're just kind of getting out of the summer months, and that's when it's the worst. But I don't know. I love it. You do sweat, but also we've been more active since we've been here. So think about LA. We didn't really leave our apartment much, and if we did, it was just to walk him. Like here we're outside, we're grilling, we're cooking, we're going for long walks in the morning.
Even
swimming.
taking the trash down to the bottom of the driveway, you come back and you change your shirt.
Oh, God.
So it's very hot, but I like it because it just makes you feel good. It feels like you're detoxing constantly. It's good for your skin. And then, we know when we're going to go sweat, and then you can hop in the pool.
Exactly.
And, but yeah, I would say that's the only thing and it's not really a negative because I like it. And like I said, in certain circumstances, like if we were going to get married outside in Florida, we really gotta figure that out, because if it's going to be like, even today it was 87. If you're standing there in a suit, you're dead meat.
Noted.
So we might have to figure out, maybe we're on the beach, it'd be cooler or something.
Of course. Depends on the time of year too. It all plays into.
That's true.
Into the grand scheme of things.
But other than that, it's been great. I mean, I remember the little salamanders or lizards. There's a lot of frogs.
So cute, though.
I don't care for the snakes, especially when they're in the pool.
One baby snake, baby.
Hey.
He's a baby snake.
A baby snake. He's
like
going to come back.
Noodle.
He's going to come back as a full-grown snake.
No, you take that back. You take that back.
I take it back.
Take it back.
I take it back.
I don't like that.
I take it back.
Yeah, there are definitely like critters and whatnot here, but also where we're staying, it's more in the like
middle of nowhere type thing.
Yeah,
it's in a community, but we just have like woods behind us.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But this whole neighborhood has been fascinating.
It has been fabulous.
Half of the houses are empty.
Uh-huh.
And then the other houses, there's just always events or something.
Because I think in this neighborhood, from what I was hearing from the owner, half of them are second homes for people. So that would make sense. Snowbirds come down a certain amount of months a year to have, this beautiful, lovely weather. But I'm sure right now with the pandemic, who knows where everyone's. But there are people around. You're seeing them around. But then also these houses are so big and nice that I think they attract people who are trying to throw
events and parties.
Yeah. So there's this one house that's not too far from us. And there was like this huge white horse that we saw the other day. And I was like, what?
Benji wanted a piece.
He wanted a piece.
What are you going to do, Benji, with the big horse?
It's a beautiful.
Is he in the bed down there?
Yeah. It was a beautiful, sweet, kind white beauty. Just so beautiful. And he's...
Yeah, he wants a piece. He owns it now.
He thinks that, yeah.
But I don't know what they were doing with the carriage. There was an actual carriage.
Generally, yeah, there's a big Cinderella-esque carriage.
Like for a prom or wedding or something.
Usually it's weddings.
There's no proms in October. There's no proms in general in 2020, I don't think.
None of that. Generally, what I've seen is people will leave their reception and go off in the Cinderella carriage, and the white horse will pull them. But I never really saw that happen because we kind of were going outside. And then we kept walking, and this one house always has the sickest sports cars out front. And our neighbor's like, hey, you guys want to take pictures? I'll take you for a ride. And you're like, really?
Well, I called him out.
You did.
Because he's like, I'll take you for a ride. I was like, yeah?
You were so
And he kind of laughed it off, but I was in. I was like, you want to take me for a ride? And because I've always wanted to maybe rent a Lamborghini for the day or something, like just spoil myself and do something like crazy.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Just because there's something about the dream building aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Like we're very we're not that much materialistic people, but there are certain luxuries that you and I love.
Yeah.
And I think a sports car at that level would be just a super fun toy.
As we walk back to our VW.
As we walk back to our reasonable car, because What you've
Smart.
learned about money is that, yeah, you can't until you have an asset that's paying you enough money to cover the expense of a sports car, you can't buy one. Clock in, clock out money or savings or anything cannot be spent on luxuries because they're going to drain money. And that's why we only had one car. We got rid of that because we started learning about money, that you don't want to drive a $600 BMW when you can drive a $200 something or $300 VW. You need that $300 extra to invest, to make more money. So that was from Rich Dad Poor Dad, actually.
Great book.
I recommend that book for everyone, for yourselves, for your kids. Rich Dad Poor Dad. I wish I would have read that book so much earlier, because I want to say this one more time. To go to work, to clock in and clock out and give your time, to then give a portion of that money to a luxury vehicle that is even like a brand new, anything that's like $400 or $500 a month is a waste of money. You just need a car to get back and forth. You need to invest enough money, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in business, whatever, when that business and that money that makes money spits out a residual, you can take that $500 that your money made and put it on a toy.
Have you seen on TikTok? I went down this rabbit hole this morning. There's this guy, he's got almost 1 million followers, and he goes up to individuals in these sick sports cars. And he goes, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" And he asks everyone, and they're the most entertaining videos. And a lot of people go, "Oh, nothing." Someone goes, "I'm married." A lot of people said private equity, so they're investing. There were a couple people who had like technology companies. There was one guy he caught, and he's like, "Holy cow, you do a TikTok, right?" He goes, "I follow you." And he did roofing and real estate. So, it's just interesting, but it's also interesting to read all the comments because there are all these young kids. And they're just kind of like, "Oh gosh, none of these people are working for other people," and it's really interesting.
Well, there are certain things that, like even working as an actor, unless you're big time, you can't spend the money on that.
I know, you got to show them to you though. It's such a treat to watch. It's
different
so
responsibility.
Fun.
But yeah, it's just really fun to look into. I just think it's just great. I love toys. I definitely want a house that's big to entertain in the future, to have a family and a yard and a pool and stuff, like all that good stuff. But we at the same time, other than like splurging a little on here for a couple months because we wanted our transition to feel really comfortable, we just really started to understand money, and I'm just obsessed with learning about it and how to create financial success in the long term and do the right things with your money. And you kind of have to self-teach yourself because we're not taught at that much of extent, or if at all. Things might have changed in school since I was there, but for the most part, you have to pick up a book or watch videos. But then it's even harder to implement. You can't just learn it, because then you have to have the discipline to go. You have to make the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because especially even when I was working on days, there was a time that I remember I was like, "Oh my God, because I could afford it. I could have gotten like a really, not a Lamborghini, but like a really nice car, And you have to sacrifice and go, no, that's not smart. And I'm so glad that we never did, because even with our VW, it's beautiful. I love it. Like, we're going to buy this when the lease is done.
Yeah.
And until I can get like a toy, like a Lambo, at a point that it's like $10 to me, it's not worth the stress. It's more worth having a retirement, knowing that your money's good, being able to wake up, feel good, not have the stress, and do what you want every day is more valuable. That's why I don't spend any money on clothes. I don't find the value in it at this point in my life. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't. But there are certain things that I want. But for the most part, we're really good on saving and investing. So we're learning.
We are learning. And how convenient too, unfortunately, with everything going on in the world, that we got rid of our car at the right time. We got rid of 2 cars, but we started to share the Volkswagen. And I mean, what would we have done? We don't drive those other cars. We're always together. We don't go anywhere now.
Yeah.
Think of all that money that we saved.
Well, when did we get the Volkswagen? We were in
Maybe
Pasadena.
A year ago?
We were in Pasadena because I remember showing people, and I was in
2018.
I think it was April of 2019.
2019.
So April 2019, we got this car. It had 7 miles on it. We leased it. It was brand new. We drove it cross country, and it's still a year and a half later, only has 7,500 miles on it.
It's crazy.
And it's great.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to just
It's a
like,
beautiful car.
yeah, I just want the lease, when the lease ends, I think there's like 12 grand or 13 grand and we can just buy it outright and then have no car payment, which is great. I'm obsessed with how low can we get our overhead.
Oh, yes, he is obsessed, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, so obsessed.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's all I hear.
All I hear. Because it makes sense. Now you're going to get me on a slight rant. Don't worry, it's not going to be forever. But the idea of living debt-free, having a car that is paid off, and if you're lucky enough or work hard enough, however you want to phrase it, to buy a home and pay it off, you can live for under $2,000 a month. Yeah. And then anything above that, I just look at it as like, oh, you can invest. And then once your money makes money, you can buy like fun stuff. But until we get to zero debt, even the house paid off when we buy one, all you have to pay is property tax, homeowners insurance, your car insurance, health insurance, more like insurance stuff, food, and then like utilities. Yeah. That's a great life.
It's an amazing life. And you know what's crazy? When I was 16, I remember my dad putting on my bed, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he's like, you need to read this. And, you know, I probably skimmed it and I didn't read it until later in life. And I'm like, it's just so funny how you have to be in a specific mindset and place in your life to really absorb this information, because we learned as we became adults, because we go, oh, wait a minute, because you're actually living it. When you're 16 years old, I mean, I wish I would have took it and really absorbed everything then.
But you have no money.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the arguments about why they don't teach finances in school. How are you going to teach a 16-year-old to care about money when they have $27 in their pocket and they just want to go to a movie and kiss their boyfriend or girlfriend? Or you know,
it's true.
I sure as heck didn't care. Like I was a hustler. I sold furniture. I made shop. Like I made money.
Yeah.
But I made it to save it to go out or to have a little freedom. But that's why I really loved the idea of universal basic income and having seniors be able to have access to a little money, teach them how to use it so that they don't get themselves in a hole. Because if we would have made every right decision financially our entire lives, we were blessed to have great businesses that paid well. I worked on days for 9 years. If we made every right decision, not every right meaning that we don't ever buy anything. I'm talking about the stupidity of not doing things correctly. If we would be in such a different place.
But we also had money stolen. We're in a major car accident with a lot of out-of-pocket surgeries. You know, we had all
of that. But it was poor spending. Living in luxurious condos at one point, driving 2 Lexuses, and we had half the payments made on that based on a company that we were partnered with, but. There was just still just ordering food, and we were very giving. Like we ordered food for our friends all the time. Like we were spending money when we had it at a point.
Always thinking that it would continue to come from those different places.
Yeah, and so it's just really smart. But even if you do, it's like giving somebody a book on how to get in shape. Everyone knows if you eat less and work out more, you're going to have a sick body. Yeah. We know the information. We know that a lot of bread's bad for you. So even if people read financial books.
Do I still eat it?
We still do. People know it's still bad to go and spend $6 on a Starbucks coffee, but we still do it.
I think it's all moderation, everything, though. If you don't spoil yourself at all, or if the coffee is your one thing that is that time for you, then you do it. But it's all moderation. You have to enjoy yourself as well.
You do. I think a lot of people are, we're not frugal at all, but we, but I do think it's important to, because I think that would solve a lot of people's problems. We've talked about that. Money is not happiness, but money makes your life more convenient, and more convenience relates to less stress. And ultimately, what you want is just freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom to do what you want every day with the people you want every day. So whatever that means, like even with us, like once we're able to buy a house and pay that off, if your bills are $2,000 a month, I mean, my God, why go and buy if you can a huge house, get all these cars, get all these expenses, and have an $8,000 overhead? Now you have to take jobs, do things you don't want to do because you need that. I would much rather just, how do you get it down to as low as possible? And then if you want to save up 600 grand and go buy this castle of a house. Great. Guess what changes? Nothing. The property tax goes up a little bit. That's it. You pay it in cash. It's great. Now, some people would say that's not a good idea. You don't want your cash wrapped up in a house. But I love the ease of knowing I got a place to stay. I got a savings account that's growing. And I think with a house, I think the 30-year mortgage is where you lose money. If you just put cash in it as a savings and it's growing a little bit, still not the best advice, but I like how it makes me feel.
You also, too, are someone who loves just, like, I guess, making deals and paying up front. Like, you hate those little monthly bills and debits. You'd rather, I feel, pay in advance so you don't have to worry about looking at that.
Well, how many times we talked about this in just 8 days? We're looking at places. I was like, you know what? We should offer this place.
Yeah.
We'll give them 3 months up front. Yeah. He's like, babe, let's just pay normal. I go, no, I want a deal. That's why we're here in this house, because we got a
Fred
deal.
Making deals.
I don't like doing anything that you don't get a sick deal.
You love sick deals.
Sick deal. We're in a travel cost country.
Let's get some sick deals.
I don't want to pay for the hotels. Well, let's cut some sick deals. Yeah. And let's try to get some free food with it.
Bad chicka wow wow.
So we do it all the time. It's just it's a rush.
It is.
So when we rent a place for a year, especially if it's a company, you're less likely to get anything because they're rigid, they don't care.
Right.
If it's some guy, Gary, who lives in Davenport or Winter Garden, and Gary's like, yeah, it's a second house I want to rent it out. We're like, listen, Gary, your security deposit's ridiculous. We're not going to break anything. I'm not paying you $2,700 for the security deposit.
Oh my gosh.
Why don't I pay you up front for the whole year, and then you just take 20% off? I just love the calls. It's so much fun.
It is true.
Because if you call up and spend, think about this, and so I'll leave it here. Say the deal saves us $5,000 for the year, and I'm on the phone for a week, 3 hours a day, calling people, getting no's, doing all this stuff, but we land a deal. 1 week, I saved $5,000 in 1 week of work. Think about what you have to do to make $5,000. So if you can call and swing a deal, that saves you $5,000, because this person goes, look, I would much rather have the years up front in cash because he'll invest it.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that we save $5,000 and then it's off the books. I don't need to write, oh, babe, it's the first. Write the check. I don't have any more checks. Where's a pen? I don't know. We have to get it in the mail. Oh, it's Saturday. Then it's a holiday Monday. Now it's a $25 late fee. Take it. I want it off the books. And I want it with a deal.
You're out of control. I love it.
So, anyway.
You got all heated from that, honey. All worked up.
Now the sun's out.
I know. I'm telling you, that's Florida. It'll be perfect.
I want to go stand out in the rain. I like being rained on.
It actually was really nice yesterday because it was like the perfect temperature. You're right. When it's raining and it's cold, that's horrible. When it's warm, you're just kind of like, okay.
You've never felt the wrath of rain unless you live in Ohio.
Yeah, I haven't.
And it rains in November and it's 42 degrees out. Oof. And your legs are wet, and your hair is wet.
Oh no!
Your skin turns white.
Sounds awful.
Yeah.
I've noticed here too, my hair naturally, it's always been pretty curly, and that's why it's just such a process for me to get dressed. Because I wash my hair a couple times a week. I have to blow it out, then I'll curl it or straighten or whatever I'm doing. But here, because I'm outside a lot, and this is how it was when I was in high school, my hair gets really curly. And so that's probably why you guys have seen more pigtails, hair up, hats. Because I'm just living that Florida life, baby. Got that humidity curl going.
I like it no matter what,
You are someone who I could come out with a full face of makeup, hair done, extensions, and like you'd say, oh, you look nice, but you would look at me the same exact way as if no makeup, hair dirty for 6 days.
It doesn't matter.
Gorgeous, babe.
Whatever makes you feel good. I support whatever makes you feel good. You look great all the time.
Oh, thanks, honey.
Now more about me. So I'm
oh God.
I gotta shave my beard.
You did trim it though.
I trimmed it again.
Nice.
Because I'm going back and forth because Florida Fred, I feel, is a bearded man. He's more laid back. He wears like the hats. He's just like chilling.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm noticing I'm getting a lot of color. I'm sweating constantly. How amazing it would be to be clean shaven and really just let my skin just,
breathe.
Really let it breathe. So I think I'm going to get rid of it, but I'm going to look weird because when's the last time I've been clean shaven? It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. I think it was my birthday.
Oh yeah.
I forget
Oh
why
my
you shaved,
God.
but that was
Because
July
you wanted
30th.
me clean shaven for your dinner. You're like, you got to look good if you're gonna dress up. I'm like, yeah. But yeah, I think I'm gonna shave, and then it was funny too, because anytime we're in Los Angeles, I very rarely get recognized, or if I do, people don't come up to you. But when we travel, I'll always have someone come up and go, Sonny, Sonny, Sonny. And when I have a beard and a hat, it's less.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I bet you, because we're in Florida, I was like, you're gonna get recognized a lot more. And then we were like, oh wait, we're wearing a full covering, so it's as if I'm more than a beard, even if I'm clean shaven.
Yeah.
But I would like to meet some of the fans here in Florida.
I know.
There's so many, like when this world opens back up,
I know.
I cannot wait to throw an event and just have people let's meet people, you know? Because we've hear a lot. I mean, there are a ton of fans from St. Petersburg to Clearwater to Sarasota, Lake Mary, West Palm, Orlando.
You knowing the places.
Oh yeah, I'm doing a lot of research.
A lot of research.
A lot of research. But what do you say we get going?
Make a little lunchy
Yeah, I want to make an easy lunch though. I'll cook the chicken later.
tonight for dinner.
Yeah, around 6:30 you can cook still before the mosquitoes come out. So 6:30 to 7 I'll cook.
Down to a science.
Got it down to a science. So we appreciate you all. Thank you. We'll be back on Wednesday, and we'll see you then.
Yep.